Yeah. If they're not here in time, I'll... They started. Starting off with the Mitsurugi and Marasha. Just going to have a look at their deck list currently right now. Winning the dice roll on that one. This is what's such an incredibly powerful combination between the Mitsurugis and the Ryzeals themselves, as they can both work into each other. Being level 4, the Mitsurugis will also provide a bit more extension and then allow you to get into more of your XZ's plays, moving on to Ryzeal bridges. Then on top of that, you can also use cards like the Ryzeals to work into King of the Feral Imps, which ultimately will end up searching you out access to a Mitsurugi play. It looks like an Ash Blossom was used here, and that was responded with a cross-out Designator, that all-powerful one-of. In able to deal with that Ash Blossom, that will mean that all of the other cards will start to resolve a little bit more freely, and it means you don't need to worry about Ash Blossom for the rest of the turn. And being able to special summon down Sword Ryzeal, straight away you can see that there is enough monsters on the field to conduct a rank 4 XZ's summon, which you can probably look at something along the lines of Duo Drive, which is an incredibly powerful rank 4 for the strategy, allowing to get a lot more advantage, or of course King of the Feral Imps, as previously mentioned, to work you into any of the ritual monsters for the Mitsurugis. You can see that there is already a Habakuri in the hand, so being able to overlay the Amarasa and of course what looks like the Ext, we're going into that Duo Drive. Duo Drive will be allowed to get some advantage. Let's see if the Blue Eyes player has any response. It looks like there is an infinite impermanence in the hand there, possibly by a Maiden and a Sage and a Wishes. That's actually a very powerful hand for the Blue Eyes strategy if they can navigate through this field and stop his opponent from gaining as much advantage. So it seems that we have Star Ryzeal, the brand new Ryzeal monster that's going to be coming down, being able to detach the Aramasa from the XZs of Duo Drive. Even though Duo Drive has been negated by Imperm, that will just stop the advantage of being able to add 2 additional Ryzeal cards. But we still get access to the cross through the Star Ryzeal. And we all know that the secondary effect of the cross will give you an additional line of protection, or technically negation, off of the back. And this is all before we've even used any other Mitsurugi or even the ritual spell for starters, which is exactly what we're going to be seeing here. Now, the best thing about the Mitsurugi ritual is you have the ability to ritual summon from the deck or ritual summon from the hand. You do declare which one you choose to use, as only one could be responded with Ash Blossom, but because we've already seen Ash Blossom be played and cross out, that doesn't look like it. And it looks like Blue Eyes is going to be wrapping it up on this one. They've seen enough, and they're going to be taking it back. Waiting for the confirmation of who is going to go first on this one. It does look like there is a Call by the Grave and a Drum Lockbird in Mitsurugi's hand, which is going to be very, very important for proceeding with this phase. Blue Eyes can play around Drum Lockbird quite effectively if done with the correct manners. And it also looks like there's a Lightning Storm there as well. And this is not going to be the ideal card to be starting with. You kind of want to be starting with something a little bit more effective. Oh, and discarding the Mausoleum. That could turn out to be very, very costly on this one. Unless there is 2 Mausoleums. If there's 2 Mausoleums, fair play. But again, that's not a card you really want to be seeing in your hand. We can still play around Draw and Lockbird by exactly what we're seeing here, is if the draw does happen, you still have the ability for Maiden to then set you your True Light. You can still activate the True Light to set you a Blue Eye spell or trap. You also very cleverly went for the Roar of the Blue-Eyed, which will allow him to summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from the deck, ultimately allowing to get Maiden back from the graveyard. He does need to be careful for that Lightning Storm. Not that they're going to be able to predict that, but Lightning Storm can be quite damaging going second. So we'll see how this one gets navigated. With the Maiden in the graveyard, that sets you up with the Roar of the Blue Eyes. going to be activating this, being able to revive, especially summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from the deck. If you already control Blue Eyes White Dragon, you can summon out any other Blue Eyes monster. But as you can see with the field being completely clear, we're only going to be able to summon out that beautiful Ghost Rare Blue Eyes. In turn, being able to activate Maiden's Effect in the graveyard to revive it. Now, I'm not too... It's always difficult because with a bit of hindsight here, this is obviously very well played because you're going to be banishing Wishes, which will then allow you to equip a Blue Eyes fusion monster from the extra deck to your Blue Eyes White Dragon, and that is obviously going to be the Neo Blue Eyes. This will set you up with some targeted protection from the graveyard, which does give you a little bit more protection should your opponent try to early doors activate an infinite impermanence on your Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Being able to synchro these two cards together to get into a level 9, I can only imagine is going to be your Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. Yeah, exactly that. And again, another beautiful quarter-century secret rare there. I'm going to set one more card. Do we activate True Light to bring back Blue Eyes? Now, I know the Blue Eyes player is on Primite, and unfortunately, it looks like they didn't see Primite, because I would like to think that if you do already see the Ether Barrel, you start off with the Ether Barrel to get you access to Lordy Load or Drill Beam. Now, it looks like they've set the Majesty. So we know that there is Majesty along the Spell and Trap Zone, plus the True Light, and then one Unknown. And unless he is thinking so far ahead to tag out that Blue Eye Spirit Dragon and turn into the Ultimate Spirit Dragon, this Lightning Storm could be massively devastating. This is going to be very, very... Ooh, Solemn Judgment! Not so devastating. That is probably the one card he could absolutely have wished to have along his Spell and Trap Zone. Very costly at 4,000 life points, but as we are relatively fresh in this round 1, it is not the worst to happen. It looks like X is going to be coming down here. This is a very interesting one as well. This is just an incredibly powerful combo, being able to send the Agitator and then setting up your chain links to protect your X from anything like an Ash Blossom in the hand. It now kind of leads itself into that the Agitator will be negating that Blue Eye Spirit Dragon unless there is a way of stopping it from the hand, which I don't believe there is. But at the very least, what you're going to be able to do here is you could tribute out the Spirit Dragon. Oh, the Effect Veiler to deal with the X. So definitely can't deal with the Agitator, but the Effect Veiler on the X is still going to be very, very useful. You're trying to limit your opponent's resource, but then remember, we do know that there is a Call by the Grave in the hand. Are we chaining the True Light or in an open game state? I believe we've chained the True Light. I'm not too sure what the Agitator negated. Did the Agitator negate Spirit Dragon, or did it attempt to negate True Light and True Light was chained? I can only imagine it attempted to negate True Light and True Light was chained. As this currently stands, we do have one destruction off of the back of the Majesty, and then we still have the ability, if the Blue Eye Spirit Dragon wasn't negated, to tribute itself off and special summon out a Light Dragon Synchro monster. Probably going for the ultimate Blue Eye Spirit Dragon. That will just set you up with the ability to target and negate a monster on the field. And there is also a Droll and Lockbird. Absolutely beautiful seeing these quarter-century secret rares lined up in this way, and that is where the Call by the Grave is going to be used. This is going to be very interesting, so I love this play. So if you tribute off your Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon in return, you then are able to summon out your Blue Eyes Ultimate, and the Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon means that your opponent cannot banish cards from your graveyard. So straight away it means Call by the Grave will not be able to resolve, banishing that Droll and Lockbird. Very, very good play there. Really a good kind of matchup going back and forth. A lot of interactions. We still have Majesty to destroy one card on the field, and then we also have the Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon to negate one card on the field. So as we kind of count down these forms of interaction, we know that our opponent cannot add cards, so we are going to be forced to special summon cards where at all possible. So as we work through here, setting the cross off the Star Ryzeal. I think Star Ryzeal is such a great addition to the deck, being able to kind of get you access to cross. We already knew previously that access through Duo Drive, like Duo Drive was always going to be a magnet for particular types of interactions. Being able to try and stop your opponent getting those add 2 cards off of the back of Duo Drive was always going to be an important factor. And the Star Ryzeal kind of gave the Ryzeal strategy that ability in order to not so much counteract, but gave that ability to still eat that hand trap or eat that interaction on that particular Duo Drive, and then be able to move off the back of Duo Drive to gain you access to a cross in the same that will still set you up a form of interaction. Now, getting into the Detonator is still very, very important here as well, because it means that if his opponent was to interact at any particular point here, the Detonator can chain to still destroy. So this is going to be very interesting interaction, because going with Majesty Majesty doesn't target, so it does allow the Blue Eyes White Dragon player to destroy cards up to the number of Blue Eyes in grave, hand, or field. It looks like the detonator is being chained in response to target the True Light, which will ultimately end up clearing the opponent's field. We are then going to be chaining the Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon to attempt to negate the detonator, and it looks like the Ryzeal Cross is used in return to make sure that the Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon is negated. So as this is going to resolve here, it looks like we are destroying the Ice Ryzeal. The Majesty will be sent to the graveyard, then the True Light will be destroyed, and on a new chain after we have resolved all of this, with the Adjugator being reattached to the detonator, True Light will trigger to destroy the Blue Eyes White Dragon's field. We do have the Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon's effect that on destruction will allow to summon back a monster from the grave. I'm not too sure what you'd go here because remember that the Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon, to use his effect to tribute off, needs to be synchro summoned. So when it is summoned back from the graveyard, it is technically not synchro summoned, so it won't be able to use that effect. It looks like they are eyeing up the Blue Eyes White Dragon. I feel that is probably the best option here, and it's very cleverly been put into attack mode. So at this current moment in time, if his opponent wanted to get any damage through to his life points, he would need to crash the detonator into the Blue Eyes White Dragon to then be able to have any form off the back of that. We've also got targeted protection in the graveyard for a Blue Eyes monster. We do have a fusion spell, technically, with the Roar of the Blue Eyed Dragon's graveyard effect. There is no wishes, there is no True Light. We've already used Maiden to revive earlier in the turn, so that won't be coming back. So it looks like we're going to be taking the sacrifice of the crash. It's not that bad because you still only need to detach one material from the detonator. So we still have a field of a detonator, but with no materials. I'm not too sure how far we can go from this point. It looks like there is a cross, but with no materials to detach, won't end up into any form of negation. I'm not too sure if there's anything more in the hand of the Mitsurugi Ryzeal player. We'll try and have a look through the graveyard if there's anything more that Blue Eyes can do. All it really takes, it depends on how good that top deck is. I mean, Primite Ether Barrel would be absolutely insane right about now. Oh, it's only a set card. So we're going to be for one set card. Is it another Judgment? It does look costly because unless that is a card that could revive a Blue Eyes from the graveyard, this resource management off of the back of Cross is going to be very, very important. And being able to switch the X to attack might be enough to finish this duel off. Ash Blossom and a Droll for hand and a what looks like an Animakumo isn't really going to allow much more field presence. If only one of them hand traps was a level 4, we could be seeing some rank 4 plays here. Are we just going to be switching X to attack? Unfortunately, or probably fortunately for the Blue Eyes White player Dragon, Blue Eyes White Dragon player, those hand traps don't even have any attack stats, so they're not going to be able to do any further damage to his opponent. It looks like we're going Detonator, putting Blue Eyes down to 1,000 life points, 1 for turn. Oh, the Ether Barrel off the top! Now we know that there is already a Droll and an Ash Blossom. That is a great top tech to have, but this is almost guaranteed to be responded to at one point or another. Do you go for the Drill Beam? Where do we work from here? So going for the Lordy Load, absolutely fine. Setting that card allows you to play around Droll and Lockbird very effectively. Activate the Lordy Load. This will be responded to, I can only imagine. There comes the Ash Blossom, which is also quite interesting because that would have been to add the Drill Beam. Absolutely fine, incredibly powerful resource. But we still have the ability to summon a Blue Eyes White Dragon from the deck, turning the Ether Barrel into the Blue Eyes Link 1. This will allow us to tribute off the Blue Eyes Link 1 to work our way into... There will be no search, as remember we discarded. Tributing this off to revive the Blue Eyes White Dragon. By reviving the Blue Eyes White Dragon, in turn we'll be able to revive the Maiden in White. And we still have the ability, as I've already said, for the second effect of Lordy Load to summon out another Blue Eyes White Dragon from the deck. Now, if only you could get access to a Tyrant Dragon, that could be game-changing. Unfortunately, there is no Wishes of Eyes of Blue, but we can use Maiden's effect to send it to the... Are we going to send it to the graveyard? Ooh, linking into a second Blue Eyes. Interesting that we didn't use... Oh, he's going to hard fusion into Tyrant Dragon. Very, very clever, because there's no discard for the True Light. So you'd go True Light, set the Wishes, but then you wouldn't have a card to discard for the Wishes. So going into the Tyrant Dragon, very, very good here. So this is going to simplify the game a lot more because Tyrant Dragon will have the ability to destroy both Detonator and X, and on turn be able to reset a trap card from the graveyard, which I can only imagine will be Majesty. This does give you the ability to not have True Light face up on the field, so that is another way for your opponent to clear the field off. Being able to get access to the Majesty and Lordy Load, which I would assume would be in main phase 2, can now get 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons in rotation, meaning that there is the ability to possibly go into the Hieratic Seals. Hieratic Seals would provide you with one form of interruption, and the Lordy Load, because it was able to get 2 Blue Eyes in rotation between hand, grave, and field, would set up the Majesty for a double destruction. Keeping in mind, for the Mitsurugi Ryzeal, there are 2 cards left in the hand. We know one of them is a Draw and Lot Bird. We know one of them is an Anamakumo. Both of them not really going to be able to provide any sort of field presence right now. So it is going to be coming down to that top deck. Plus, we have a additional set card along the Spell and Trap Zone. So Majesty, 1 unknown, plus what could possibly be Hieratic Seals. That's exactly what we're going to be doing here. Going into Hieratic Seals, very, very good route of play here. Now passing turn, how important can that top deck be? Going for that 1 card, what is it? Is that a Ryzeal? Or is that another hand trap? Is that another, is that a second Draw and Lot Bird? Ooh, very early activating the Hieratic Seals to return the cross. And then use the Hieratic Seals, summoning out a dragon from the deck. Okay, and it looks like Mitsurugi is going to be... So waiting for the players to draw the 5 cards and confirm there is a Trill Tactic Talents in that hand. Ooh, 2 Mitsurugi Prayers and an Ash Blossom with a Habakuri. That's actually a very good custom hand to be looking for. It looks like there is a Nibiru, a Dominus Purge, and a possible Effect Veiler in the hand here. Starting off with Habakuri. Not really worrying about Draw and Lot Bird so much there, I guess. I suppose you would want to activate Prayers, but then you don't really want to be tributing off your Habakuri for those 800 life points. Luckily for them, there is no Draw and Lot Bird in the Blue Eyes hand. Going with the Saji, Saji is going to work its way into the Mitsurugi ritual spell. Now remember, the reveal of the Habakuri is once per duel, so that can't be used again at future plays, but just being able to get access to something along the lines of the Mitsurugi ritual is going to allow them to either ritual summon from the hand or ritual summon from the deck. So it looks like we're going to be ritual summoning from the hand, tributing off the Aramasa, and then also tributing off the other Mitsurugis, and this is going to then work its way into, so we've got the Amarasa, the Kusanagi, and Saji all in the graveyard, allowing you to summon down the Habakuri, and of course there's a lot of tribute effects coming off the back of the Amarasa and the Kusanagi. Kusanagi is going to give you the ability to recycle that Mitsurugi ritual. Remember, with the Mitsurugi ritual, you can only use one of the effects that one turn, so you can use both effects, but you can only use, for example, ritual from the hand and ritual summon from the deck. You can't ritual summon from the hand twice or ritual summon from the deck twice. So this is where we're going to be ritual summoning from the deck to get the Anamakumo in rotation. And as I mentioned previously, this is so important to get this in rotation, because being able to give you that ability, especially backed up with 2 prayers, is going to give the ability to quick effect, in theory, to destroy his opponent's field very, very effectively. It looks like we're adding the 3rd and final prayers. Now, keeping in mind our opponent doesn't know that Mitsurugi have all 3 prayers, but to have 3 players, a Triple Tactics Talents. I thought we was making a... Are we making a rank 8 here? Looks like we are. What rank are we going for? Oh, this is very, very efficient. I do like this. This is how you can also turn your Ryzeals, your Mitsurugis into Ryzeals. So you go into the Divine Golden Shadow Dragon Dragluxion, which in turn will allow you to add a Tachyon card from the deck. So this will give you direct access to your 7th Tachyon, which in turn, by revealing that, can work itself into your Ryzeal. But it looks like this is going to get met with a Dominus Purge. I feel that that was probably a card that he didn't want to be using in order to make sure that it didn't have to get... he didn't really want to be using that because he doesn't want to kind of limit some of the attributes he can play. But I can also imagine that's not the biggest issue around. So we're going to be detaching 2 materials to then allow the ability of the XYZs to upgrade into a number 38 Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic. And this still sets up with a very powerful spell negation, backed up by prayers, Triple Tactic Talents, but unfortunately is still not live, as Blue Eyes have not activated a monster effect as of yet. Are we going to set all 3 prayers? So we have an Ash Blossom, which is still going to be very, very effective, and a number 38 Titanic Galaxy is also going to provide the ability to negate a spell that is going to be activated. I think, are they just counting the number of summons? Do we trade Nibiru? Oh, there's a Maiden in the hand. It wasn't Effect Fairy, it was Maiden. And it looks like we are going to trade Nibiru for that Galaxy. I feel that's a very, very well-placed trade on that one, because you don't really want that negation, and what you're really doing here is basically giving your opponent a token that have relatively the same stats as Nibiru. So Nibiru should be able to deal with that token. It then comes down to, oh, but there is the Triple Tactics Talents. Are we going for the draw? It does possibly look like we're going for the draw. We're going to be trying to dig into that deck to gain access to a Ryzeal monster. This could change the course of this duel. Drawing 2 cards with Battle Talents, and there is 2 Ryzeals. Oh, you couldn't have picked 2 better ones if you tried. We've got X Ryzeal backed up. Is that 2 X Ryzeal? Oh my god, it's 2 X Ryzeals. That is absolutely crazy. 2 X Ryzeals right off the top. Especially something down the X Ryzeal. Unfortunately, we know it's not an Effect Veiler now, so there was only 2 hand traps that could have been utilized, one being the Purge and one being the Nibiru. Nibiru was still very effective. I feel that it was probably worth that trade. You can never really guarantee that your opponent has a Triple Tactic Talent, so it's definitely worth that trade-off. There is a Drill Beam, a Maiden, and one unknown. I believe the spell was Wishes, if I remember correctly. But we can see just how much of a game changer this Triple Tactics Talents is going to be. Working into Duo Drive, and unless there is a Effect Veiler in that hand, which we already know there isn't, this Duo Drive is going to resolve to get access to Cross and one other Ryzeal monster. Is that Node? Oh, going for 2 Ryzeal monsters. I suppose you go for Star Ryzeal if that's going to lead you to Cross anyway. There's no need of using the Duo Drive to search you out the Cross. Prayers is still incredibly powerful, and the fact that we have all 3 in rotation is going to be very useful. Summoning down the Ice Ryzeal. And this is where, you know, getting access to Sword Ryzeal, Detonator could be entering the field of play very, very shortly. Still going to be a very, very... I mean, we still have the Amakumo in the graveyard. As long as we can tribute off a Reptile monster, that will then get us access to bringing back the Amakumo, which will set up the field clear as well. Still the Ash Blossom backed up in the hand. Especially something down the Node Ryzeal. Getting rid of the token. I mean, even looking back at it, getting the X from the draw, still a very, very good draw to have. But keeping in mind that the token was on the field, you didn't really want to be using the normal summon effect of the X, or have to normal summon the X. You kind of wanted to save that a little bit more, which it looked like they were able to do. Bringing back, or adding a Sword Ryzeal. Going to be using Node plus Duo Drive, working our way into our Eclipse Twins. And this is where Resource is just going to be absolutely dominating on this one. So using the Eclipse Twins just to detach that Ryzeal to get it into the graveyard, summoning down the Star Ryzeal as well. That's why you just detach the Node. Getting access to the Cross. 15 or nearly 16 minutes left on the clock on this one. Is that 2 drill? No, that has to be. So it's a Maiden, a Drill Beam, and I'm pretty sure that's a Wishes. If it's a Mausoleum, woof, not ideal. So Cross has plenty of targets to be recycling from the graveyard, I can only imagine. I can also imagine that this end field is going to include a Detonator in one form or another. So we're going to be overlaying Sword Ryzeal and Ice Ryzeal. Ooh, going for all 4 Ryzeal monsters. This is going to be a very backed up Detonator. If you don't wish to add any other Xyz to the field, I suppose that is not the worst thing you could be doing. So we're going to be bringing back the Agitator, reattaching it to our Detonator. Detonator now has 5 materials. Ooh, could we be seeing, I'm just going to have a quick look at the Blue Eyes list. Is there the possibility, I don't remember seeing, no Ultimate Slayer unfortunately, no Metal Tronus. Remember when that had its moment in the limelight of that one. Drawing for turn. Most important draw for turn. Oh, the absolute painful Infinite Impermanence with a Nibiru on the field. That is not ideal. Oh, it looks like the activation of that Nibiru could be very, very costly. And it does look like that's another Mausoleum in the hand as well. Oh, we're going to be able to see a comeback repeat of game 2. But being able to use Maiden here, maybe... I mean, even if you activate Maiden, as soon as you do that to get access to True Light, yes, of course, your Ryzeal may choose to chain the effect to get rid of the Nibiru, but then it doesn't open up your field for an infinite impermanence to try and negate or turn off that detonator. A Typhon here would also be massive. Does he have a Typhon? He does have a Typhon. That could be very, very big. Okay, so we're going to be using Ryzeal here. It has to be Typhon. It must be. I feel you have to be very careful with Maiden, because Maiden will place the True Light face up. So, yes, getting access to True Light is not that bad, but I feel the next play has to be a Typhon. Because with this position of play, what you do is you would go into a Typhon. Typhon instantly will stop the Anima Kumo field break and stop the detonator from being able to activate anything more. You would then have the ability to utilize Typhon to return the detonator, meaning all the materials will then go. It will then give the ability for the Adjugator to negate, and that's where you would possibly choose to utilize True Light to set you a card in theory that could get you access to Blue Eyes White Dragon. So it does look like we're going to be going into that Typhon. Definitely the correct play, or pretty much the only play here to protect that True Light and disrupt his opponent's field. Typhon effect has to be the detonator. And then we have the cross to negate. So many layers. Typhon is going to go battle phase, attacking the Eclipse Twins. Do we risk... I mean, I suppose you need to get some form of advantage, but the True Light at this exact moment in time can't really get anywhere. Like, it can set you a Blue Eyes spell or trap. The Blue Eyes spell or trap would be Roar of the Blue Eyes White Dragon, which can't be used right now. It could, in theory, be True Light. Could be Wishes. Yeah. And then Wishes works you to... I mean, we can't use on all songs, so we're pretty much playing for the next turn. Do you risk activating the Wishes now? No, I don't think we do. I mean, you activate Wishes, you work out, you get access to Sage, or you get access to Sage or Maiden, which we already have. Maybe searching out an Effect Veiler wouldn't be the worst thing to do, but even then you need to go through Sage to get there, and the Typhon has kind of limited that card off. So we're going to be starting the turn, we're going to be activating the Cross to return 2 Ryzeal monsters and draw a fresh card. Drawing 1 card for this one. Is that Call by the Grave? So it looks like we have a Star Ryzeal, a Molchummy Fluros, and then a Call by the Grave. Sending the Eclipse Twins to the graveyard, summoning down the Ext. Ext effect to try and resolve alongside the Eclipse Twins. I suppose this is one benefit as well. With Adjugator already gone, the Adjugator can't negate the Typhon. So it does put us in a position where the Typhon's kind of continuous effect is still in play, meaning the Anima Kumo and Detonator, both of the most disruptive cards, are kind of negated for now, but then the Detonator is still strong enough to destroy the Typhon. I'm trying to think if there was any other way for Blue Eyes to kind of pilot this one. I feel, unfortunately, the one time that there isn't a Blue Eyes in rotation is the one... If you were able to get True Light and have a Blue Eyes in rotation, you might even have the ability to utilize True Light during your opponent's turn to get you access to Blue Eyes White Dragon. I think we're just returning the material on Typhon here. So, as I was saying, so if you were able to get a Blue Eyes in rotation, that would have been so much more, like, it would have gained you so much more advantage, because then what you'd have is during your opponent's turn, while Detonator is currently negated, you could have set the Majesty off of the back of True Light, activate True Light to summon out Blue Eyes White Dragon from the hand. In turn, that would then set up the ability for your Drill Beam plus your Majesty, and then there'd be the unknown infinite impermanence. You have enough resource there. Unfortunately, it looks like we're just going to be able to try and push through using all the monster effects that are going to be below 3,000 attack, so that the Typhon's continuous play is not going to be causing any issues, and then work our way in for the detonator to deal with it when we want to. So we're bringing back the Amakumo, paying the 800 life points off of the back of the Prez. There will be no clearance on the Typhon as far as I can see, because of course the Amakumo's attack stats are above 3,200. But it looks like we're going to be using Daguerre's effect here. Are we going to be doubling the attack of one of our monsters? Yeah, it looks like we're going to be doubling the attack of the Amakumo. Going into the battle phase, detonator to attack the Typhon. 6,400 to the life points. And then duo drive for game. Okay.